Hello, Puggies, and welcome to this week's Living the Pug Life show, brought to you, hello, Charles, brought to you by Pugparties, because your pug deserves to be the best dressed pug at the party. I am your host, Donna, and currently sitting with me is Charles, and Rosie's asleep on the floor behind me. This week's episode was pre-recorded due to a clash in schedules, and I can say that I'm really looking forward to watching the replay with you. Although I just did see a message pop up, and it looks like Fiona has made it, so she'll be watching it all alongside with us, which is absolutely awesome. Now, I don't think that there is a pug alive who can't sniff out a treatie or snackie within a square kilometre of their own house. But do you think that you could sniff out a teaspoon of Vegemite in a room full of boxes like a real sniffer dog, like the ones that you actually see on TV, like on Border Patrol and all that sort of stuff? Well, our guest Fiona, if she is to be believed, pugs, you could be the next successful graduate of Sniffer School, which is just absolutely awesome. And it was the thing that Emily and Cruz were talking about a couple of weeks ago. So please join me as we watch this week's episode together, where we get to know Fiona and what it takes to be a Sniffer School graduate. Thank you so much for joining us on the Pug Life show. This is awesome.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really happy to be here and talk all things pugs and sniffers.
I know, it's great. So I will start with the fact that I didn't know too much about Sniffer School, full stop, end of story, until Donna Smith and then Jennifer Glendenning shared their stories about the work that they do with you. So you're WA based, but you have said that there are other schools around Australia, which we will share with our viewers. Because as we were talking before the show, apparently no age is too old to become a sniffer pug.
No age is too young. No age is too old. Doesn't matter how many legs you have. It doesn't matter on the human ability. You can be, slow, fast, young, old, everyone and every dog. I haven't met a dog yet that can't do Sniffer Dog School.
Yes, I'm amazed. I mean, I wonder about my my old boy Charles, but you never know. It might put another spring in his little puggy step.
We can. We have dogs, I think 15, 16, still doing Sniffer Dog School and still loving it, because we adjust it. We might not make it too tall, and they potter around with a waggy tail, and they find what they need to find, and they get treats. So they don't need to hear, they don't need to see, they just need to have their little noses on. And pugs have got the best little noses.
Yes, just because they're short doesn't mean that they're not powerful.
I think they're better than some of the longer noses, because I think that they're spread out more. I don't know. I was very surprised when I started, and the first pug I had, I was like, oh, I don't know, a pug doing Sniffer Dog School, they've got, oh my goodness. And I wonder if their scent cells are actually more spread out, so then they actually can smell better, because every pug I have met and some of the other dogs with shorter noses are some of the best dogs at Sniffer Dog School.
Wow. Well, I have to admit, as we were talking before we hit record, my second pug, Winston, who is just Charles' little brother, I swear to God, that pug could sniff out a treat within a square kilometre. If there was food, no matter how manky it was, he would know where it was. There've been a few times where I had thought to myself over the years, you should have been a drug squad dog. Absolutely.
And that's exactly, because all we do is we swap the treat for a different smell. We make the different smell equal the treat. And then they go, oh, so I find this smell, I get the treat. So it's just like that. So he would have been fantastic.
Oh, no, missed opportunity, but that's okay. So so we're obviously talking with the assumption that everyone that's watching has actually watched the other episodes that did talk about school. So let's go back to the start and say what inspired you to become a dog trainer, and then obviously from that do sniffer training.
Many, many years ago, I had the dog that most people would say was very naughty. He did everything wrong. He jumped up on people. He was a rescue dog, and then he barked at people, and then he decided he didn't like dogs after he got attacked. So I was just a normal person, and I went to dog training school, and I literally fell flat on my face on the first day. Like literally, he pulled me over, and I was on the floor. And I went looking for more information. So I got addicted to pet dog training. Like I got addicted to training, and he taught me so much because every issue there was, he had it. So I had to find out how to resolve it. And somehow along the way, I was a little bit lost because I got, you know how you do, it's like on Facebook, you ask a question and you get like 20 different responses.
Yep.
It was kind of like that before Facebook. Everyone gave me the wrong advice. And I finally found someone that helped me, and he was a scent trainer. And so he actually helped me with my dog. And then I kind of looked into scent training. And then one day I went for a job as a dog handler. So I spent 14 years in a couple of different government agencies with detection dogs. Absolutely loved it, but I never lost my passion for pet dog training. So I was always going and learning. I was at every conference. 4 or 5 years ago today, I was in the UK learning about border collies because they're weird. Shh, don't tell anyone. they're very strange. So I went over to learn more about them. So yeah, I was really interested in it. And then 6 years ago, I kind of went, I love training pet dogs more than I love doing this operational work. And I was getting encouraged to do scent training for pet dogs. So I started doing it on the side, and then I just fell in love with it. It kind of exploded. I was not hardly getting any time to sleep, let alone I haven't had a day off in years. So I gave up full time, and we work pretty much, there's myself and 3 other trainers, and we do some normal training and behavior training, but I'd say 75% of our work is doing sniffer dog school or scent detection training for pet dogs. And we have a ball, and it helps the dogs like they gain confidence. It's really cool to watch them do something they can actually already do. They can already find a treat.
Yeah.
But we're teaching them in a different way. And you learn a lot about your dog. You learn about their body language, but you also have fun, and it's relaxed and it's enjoyable. So your bond with your dog gets stronger, but they get more confident and they feel safe. And especially with some of the dogs that are more anxious or worried about the world, they actually get good at something. They get good at it with other dogs around. And then their owners, I love it when owners, I must admit, I cry sometimes too. When like their dog that was always an embarrassment, it barked at other dogs, and they always felt like, oh, I failed. And when their dog wins a prize or is really good at something, yeah, I cry too. And they cry in enjoyment that their dog can do something really well.
Yeah.
Something special. That's my positive reinforcement. That's what I get from it, is helping them realize how amazing their dogs are. See, I'm passion talking already.
Oh, no, and it's wonderful. Absolutely love it, because pug owners get it. Yeah. We gush about our pugs all day long, all night long, and, drive other people insane. So we completely get it. Just the thought of gushing about your pug, and also gushing about the fact that they're a sniffer champion, like Jenny did a couple of weeks ago with little Emily.
Oh, Emily made me cry. When when she got a prize, I got a little teary. I was a little bit proud, and I quite like a lot of people who do scent detection trials, which is the competitions. They're very sports people. They do agility, and they do others, and they've got border collies, and they've got Belgian shepherds, and they're very athletic sort of dogs. Yeah. And then you've got the doggy lady crew, and we do have a few border collies, but we have pugs, and we have griffins, and we have a Chinese crested dog.
Oh wow!
And we have the little one, you know what I mean, and some rescue dogs and bull terriers. And I do kind of like, we're a little bit of a motley crew, but we're like the little ones and the big ones, and we really do well against the sporty ones too. So it shows you that any dog can do it. And yeah, when the less likely dogs do it really well, it gets me a little bit extra proud because I kind of like to see them achieve.
Absolutely agree. Because I was going to say, my next question is what's the difference between being a serious sniffer dog and a pug sniffer dog, let's say?
Pugs can get quite serious about it when there's treats on the line.
I was going to say.
You haven't seen little Emily
laser-like focus is the word I'd think.
I think Emily particularly is extremely focused when she's sniffing. Well, there's different levels. The training itself, like people always say, it must have been different operationally. But to be fair, it was the same training. I've slightly adjusted it as I've learned more and amended, but pretty much it's the same as what it was teaching with dogs at the airport. Pretty much you get the odor, you make it equal good stuff like treats, and then you slowly teach them. It's a little bit more complicated, but then you slowly hide it a little bit more and a little bit more. So the actual techniques we use very similar, but we kind of have a little bit more fun with it, I suppose. Sometimes I have guest trainers come, and I had one who was an ex-operational friend who used to work in the army doing explosives, and he came and had a go with the guys teaching them how to clear a house. And I had to sort of nudge him and go, if Vegemite doesn't blow up, it's okay. Loosen up a bit.
Being retired military myself, I could understand the laser-like focus of the trainer.
And sometimes we get a little silly with it. I have like my pet dog stream, which are people who don't want to compete. They just have fun with their dogs. And we have these little fun master classes. We had a spooky one the other week where we had some people get dressed in costumes, but we have ghosts and witches and wizards and the props are all different things. And we have trivia with it as well. So we make it a bit of a fun giggle, and the dogs are having their fun. So we have fun with our dogs. And then we have the more trial people who are learning more skills based and going into the competition. So we do have two streams, but they mix as well. Sometimes the serious ones want to have a bit of a giggle. And it's not true. As I always say, nobody dies if you don't find it.
No. Or they get the wrong
You still go out. You still have fun with your friends. Your dog still has fun. They don't know. They didn't get a pretty ribbon. They don't care. They still get treats. They still get love. So, no, it's good. It's a really good fun sport, and it's a nice way to spend time with your dog, and also people like yourselves. Because you know what it's like when all you want to do is at a party sit there and talk about your pug.
Yes.
And suddenly there's 3 meters around you because you're the crazy pug. We're kind of like that. We're the crazy dog people, and when we get together, we can talk about our dogs all day long.
Well, I'm completely okay with that. People who work with me now know that they can suck it up.
Yeah.
I put up with their children. They should be able to put up with my pugs.
Exactly.
So because I was quite interested, because I've always wondered, how old or how young do they have to be, and can pugs actually become a serious employed? I have to admit, I've never seen a pug at sort of at the airport. I'd be very happy. I tell you what, it'd be the most popular pug ever. The number of selfies that I would get with said dog, even though you're not meant to touch them. So I'm just sort of thinking, especially because they say you're not allowed to touch the dog while it's actually doing its job. Is that the same when you're doing the scent training? Do they sort of start, because I never asked Jennifer about this, but when they sort of start their basic training, are they getting a room to themselves?
Yeah.
Is it one-on-one or is it still group?
We do one-on-ones at home, but the classes, we have a really cool venue where I have one big pen at a daycare with solid walls, but they're up to chest height.
Yeah.
And that's the working area. And then we have other ones where the dogs wait, and some can wait with a friend or two. Others might like to wait on their own. And when they're working, you do not want to get in Emily's way when she's working. You do not want to try and pat her. You will be pushed off. So when they're working, they're quite focused, and they don't want the distractions of people or other dogs. So they're working on their own with their human, obviously, in there. And I'm generally allowed in there as well. But everyone else is behind. They can watch. So it's quite nice. The walls are up to chest. So they can watch And Emily, some dogs like that, some sort of, are you looking at me? But they get quite focused because you've seen a dog when they're looking for a treat.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're not. And that's what the dogs at the airport were like. My little beagle was like, get off me if someone tried to pet him. He was like, leave me alone. I'm trying to find something. My food isn't, this is about food, people. Leave me alone.
Yes.
So no, the dogs are actually in their own when they're working. Yeah, it's much better that way. Otherwise, imagine 2 pugs looking for a bit of treat. It's going to get messy.
Oh, chaos. Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, like Auntie Donna at Playgroup on Sundays, the pubs know that when I show up that there's going to be some awesome treats. And trying to get them to sit just to receive their said treat is a challenge at times. So I could just imagine, but they do it inside, but do they do, I'm just trying to remember what Jennifer said. So there's all different places during the trials that there's different locations that they do the scent testing. Yeah,
we start inside because obviously the airflow makes it a bit trickier. So if it's windy outside, I think in Melbourne you've got terrible weather today.
Oh my God, it's horrendous.
So you can imagine how the wind makes the scent travel. So we do start inside and then we move outside. So my class tomorrow, if the weather's nice hopefully the weather is nice in Perth, we'll be going outside. We might be doing some vehicle searches in one class, and the other one might be doing some exterior searches. So we work everywhere outside. We do some work inside, and then, we do in trials, you have vehicles, exteriors, interiors, and then the containers, which are like the boxes. So there's 4 elements. For our classes, we go everywhere. We have what we call mystery sniffs. I kind of got inspired by like the 80s raves, when they used to send people texts, or so Urban Myth went. Yeah, I started like that, where you'd get a text saying where it was. You'd meet me somewhere. So I'd give you the general, it'll be in this suburb. But we must admit, we've got a little old cottage that we go and sniff at, like some of the halls. So we have lots of different places that we go and have smells at. And I say that for people, even if you don't do scent work, going and having a smell like in an old cottage or someone else's house, dogs love it. And it tires them out because 10 minutes of sniffing, they say, equals 50 minutes of physical exercise in wearing your dog out.
Wow. I never even thought of it that way.
So if it's horrible weather over there, go have treats around the house. Watch them go find it. And I can guarantee you your dogs will be happier and more tired than if you take them for a walk around the block.
That is an amazing tip, because I have to admit, Charles is a rat bag. Rosie at least still will go outside to go to the toilet and have a bit of a run around the backyard, even though she doesn't like getting wet grass on her paws. Charles, I've got to literally drag him outside to do that. And I never even thought of sort of, they normally get lunchtime treats. As I said, they're at the groomers at the moment getting all pooched up ready for the weekend. So they'll come home knackered, but maybe I do need to lock them in a room, because of course the other problem is Charles is so slow, Rosie will gobble up all of the treats whilst he's still
my two are a little bit like that too, yeah.
So maybe I need to, in my office around here, I need to put a couple and then let him go and see how he goes, because on days like this they won't walk.
I do say make sure it doesn't go under a couch though.
Yes.
Beagles, so beagles and pugs are quite similar in the determination that they have.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Yes, we've got a footstool that I never thought that a pug could get under, and one of our very loyal viewers, little Tonka, come to stay with us for a couple of weeks while his mum had to go to hospital, and he's a little taller than Rosie and Charles, and I could not get over Andrew, I don't know what he dropped, but I tell you what, Tonka was almost like a slinky. He just sort of went, and then I'm like, what is he doing? And it was just incredible. And then Andrew's sort of like, is he under the footstool? And I said, you watch it. And he literally just went, zzz, and then shimmied his little body through, picked up whatever it was that Andrew dropped, and then basically kept shimmying through till the other end. And and the worst thing is we were so gobsmacked, I didn't even have time to get my phone out and record it to send to Kim and say, does Tonka do this at home? Yeah. Because, oh my God, that is incredible.
See, determination. Tonka would make a great sniffer dog.
Well, Kim, hopefully on Sunday night she'll be watching. It looks like we need to take Rosie, Charles and Tonka to sniffer training.
And on that, if there's anyone watching who goes, oh, I don't live in Perth, I can't come to Sniffer Dog School, do pop a note in the comments. Then I may not get in then the live, but even if I get in after, I'll do some research and find a Sniffer Dog School near you, because they are all around the country. Tasmania has lots of great Sniffer Dog schools. I don't know what's in the water down there, but they have a Sniffer Dog School at the corner. Amazing. So there are ways. And you can play games as well.
No, but I do love the. I'm going to try and attempt to do the treat thingy around the house before the show goes live on Sunday night, so I can reliably report how Rosie and Charles go.
I always say scent work is the best dog sport because you can do it in your pajamas holding a glass of wine.
Oh, you've absolutely sold it to me, Fiona. I swear you've absolutely sold it to me. And to be honest, why didn't I talk to you when the show first started last year and we were still in lockdown? Like how much? Yeah, Charles and Rosie feel like they're probably being cheated now because I've left it so late.
It's a great winter, but it's not just a great winter sport. It's good in summer, especially with your pugs, because going out in the heat's not so good. You can do exercises inside with the air conditioning on and keep them nice and cool. So it's good in hot and cold when we don't want to get wet, because you know that wet, like the rain can melt pugs.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It can melt beagles too, apparently. So, you know what I mean? It gives you options to do. And I know I was brought up with you should walk your dog twice a day.
Yeah.
But now I've been dog training for 20 years. I've changed. I'm like, just spend at least 30 minutes with your dog one-on-one doing something they enjoy. And so that they get a physical workout, they get a mental workout, you get to bond with them. Yeah. I prefer it twice a day. But doing something like scent work gives them a body workout that's gentle on their bodies. So it doesn't matter if they've got spine issues or leg issues. You just make sure it's at the right height for them. Yeah. So they get a really nice body workout. They bend, they move. They get a nice brain workout, and you get to learn lots about your dog, and they enjoy it. So it's a perfect exercise, really. Keeps them safe and well and warm.
Definitely love it, because I was looking on your Facebook page at all your videos, and I can't remember the puppy's name, but he was doing some outside scent work, and your comment, I can't remember if it was said verbally or it was written in. He found a treat in the tap out the back another time, and this time he made a beeline for the tap, and I thought to myself, that'd be Rosie and Charles.
No, I also judge at the scent work trials, and they've only been going for just over a year here. Was it maybe a year here in Perth? And my first one that I did outside, it was really hard to find somewhere to put the little odor, because he's still got to hide it so people can't see it. Yeah. And I went, oh, I'm going to put it up the tap. And a lot of people, it was perfect for me, but a lot of people went, why is my dog sniffing the tap? It can't be up the tap. And one of my lovely clients, it was a hot, warmish day. Her dog went up and licked the tap, and she went, you're thirsty, you want a drink? Come on, let's keep working. So no, that was we reenacted the tap, and this time I fooled nobody.
Oh, I love it. So, because I think Jenny was saying that, like, Emily started with Vegemite.
Yes.
But you have other scents, and so you're talking about. So it's not actually, other than the Vegemite, all the other smells. They're just like an oil or something.
Yeah. So I start with Vegemite because I want it to be a game everyone can play. It doesn't cost you a fortune. I supply everything at the beginning, but at the end, I want you to go, you can get some Vegemite, you can get, and hide it somewhere and give your dog the treats. So you don't need any special equipment. And also Vegemite's safe. They can, if they accidentally get into your Vegemite supply, it's okay.
Thank God.
A little salty, but it's okay. And then some people get addicted to it and they want to go into the sport. So we do the oils, but we say the oils, but it's not much. There's birch, anise, cypress, and clove oils. And we learn them one at a time, but it's only 2 drops of oil onto a cotton ball. And then you put 30 little cotton, the earbud, the cotton tips in there. So then they infuse the oil. So there's actually not that much oil on them. But dogs' noses are amazing. They can smell anything. The things that they can smell, Like that's quite strong. Some of the dogs go, oh, that's a bit strong. The Vegemite's a bit strong. So what they can smell, I mean, they can smell diseases. They can smell pheromones. Their noses are incredible. We just underestimate them, to be fair. So, but yeah, the oils are for the competitions because everywhere else, I must admit, when I first started here in WA, no one else was doing the sport here. And I thought, what can I get them to find? Something that's safe, something that isn't sitting, because I thought, I'll get them to find apples. But I thought, oh, people have fruit bowls. You know, they can't be finding that constantly. So I went for Vegemite because of that. It took me ages to work it out. And so Vegemite became quite the thing over here in WA. But, of course, the rest of Australia weren't following us. You know, you guys in Melbourne were looking for these oils, which they looked for in the US. So when they got a national rules out, they did choose the oils over our West Australian Vegemite. But, you know, that's okay. But, yeah.
Yes, well, I have to admit, there seems to be a common standard in food requirements for pugs: roast chicken.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we do. To be honest, all we do at the beginning is we say, "You smell this? Have some chicken. Do you smell this? Have some chicken." So in the end, every time they smell Vegemite, they go, "Chicken. Can you give me the chicken?" And so it's like they're looking for chicken. And our job is basically when they find it, they tell us, and we teach them like to sit or to hold their nose on it or whatever's comfortable for them. And then we run in and give them the chicken. So it's like them looking for a bit of chicken. I always call it, look for the chicken. Because if you hit chicken, they'd find it. But it's cheaper than buying chicken because you can be cheap afterwards. And if you have no chicken, you can use a Vegemite and you can sneak another cheaper treat in, just saying.
Yes, absolutely. Even though I have to admit, it does sort of remind me of the days when my niece was very young and she would only eat anything that was white or tasted like chicken. So mushrooms are chicken. I'm sure, like, she's in her 20s now, and I'm almost certain that in the next couple of years she's going to be coming to me for a bill to pay for the therapy.
Yeah.
What
do you mean they're not chicken?
That tastes like chicken. But I have to, like with Charles, when he's got a crook belly or he's got an upset tummy sort of thing, and he won't eat his usual dinner, roast chicken, yes, that would have to be the most expensive way to get that pug to eat his drugs so that we can get his tummy right again.
Roast chicken solves everything. Everything. Any issue. I don't need to be a vet. I can just say, just get them chicken. Please don't. Just go to your vet. It's like asking for vet advice on Facebook.
So the other probably, what's the most difficult thing in your experience with training a pug? Because you've obviously been a dog like a trainer, and then obviously Sniffer School and all the other things, like the list of qualifications you have on your website is just is intimidating almost. So what is the most difficult? Because I think every pug owner has a different opinion as to what it takes to train their pug to be mildly well behaved.
It's pretty much focusing that determination for good and not evil.
Evil is definitely a word I would subscribe.
And making it worth their while, I think. But once you say, hey, would you do this for a piece of chicken? They're like, certainly, ma'am. Can I, open the door, shut the door, drive you around the block and come back? As soon as you show them what you want, pugs are awesome. Pugs are one of my favourite dogs to train. It's being clear. They do like clear instructions. So a lot of the time it's us not being very clear. They're amazing dogs. Like, I'm serious. I'm a pug fan. I love them. They weren't really on my radar. I was always a big dog person growing up. Yeah. I always thought, when I had to work with beagles, I went, oh, they're a little dog. And then when I met pugs, to be fair, I became quite a pug fan. They're amazing. They're amazing. They're little characters.
Oh, yes.
But as soon as you have it for them and you give them clear instructions, they are on it and they will work so hard for it. The hardest thing as a trainer with pugs is keeping them cool. I know for scent work, when we work inside without air conditioning on at first, it can be a little tricky. Yeah. So I would say starting it in winter with your pugs is best, because then we can keep them cooler in summer. That's probably the only thing. I love them. They're good little learners. They you just got to be very clear and make it worth it. So if you are not clear, if you like sit there and go, don't do that, no, stop it, and don't tell them what you want them to do instead, they'll just go, I don't get you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say, I don't like that. Can you do this instead? I'll give you a piece of chicken for doing this. They'll go, no worries. I'll do this instead. Absolutely, you have me.
So I need to stuff chicken in the bottom of my shoes to get them to bring me the shoes.
I bet you. Oh, we could teach them. They would bring them.
I have to. I've always I've been quite lucky with all of my pugs in that I've had low expectations. So as long as they come when they're told and they sit when they're told, all the rest of it, as much as it would be amazing to have any of my pugs heel, roll over or shake my hand, and admittedly all of my pugs except for Rosie have been rescues. So by the time they come to me, they're already semi-like, I have to admit, the first time we took Charles and Winston when they were 2, we rescued them at 2. We took them to obedience training, knowing that they were a little bit on the old side for pugs for really difficult stuff. Especially Winston's face, the first time we said sit, Winston just kind of looked at me and went, what? And then we kind of like pushed his little bum down and said, look, treat. And then it was so funny. Like Charles was quite quick-witted. Winston was cunning. If he couldn't see a treat, he wasn't doing anything.
I see. You've got to be quick to go because we use the treat often to say, do this, but we've got to quickly take it away and then use it afterwards as payment. And then they soon learn, if she asks me afterwards, I get the treat. It's payment. It's not a bribe. And that's what we've got to do.
That's a really good point, actually. I'm not sure that they understand the difference these days.
We could work on it.
I have to, because Rosie especially, like, it's so funny. Charles is going deaf. Like, the vet has said he's definitely on the way out, but he can still hear the pantry door opening.
Yep.
At just the right time. And Andrew's opinion is Rosie hears the door open and her little head pops up. And all he does is respond to Rosie's almost Pavlovian response to the pantry door opening at dinner time. And I was like, no, I'm sure that he's pulling our legs and he can still hear. He's just a little bit selective in the choice of when he extends that superpower.
We could take Rosie out of the picture and open the door and see if it works.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, I'm certain I've seen him respond without Rosie around. Andrew doesn't believe me.
They can have different. I've got an old deaf beagle and certain pictures he can hear. And my voice is quite high, especially when I'm excited. Yeah. So if I call him to come, he can come. But my house sitter has got quite a husky, it's French, so it's quite a husky, low voice. And he never listens to her. And we worked out, I said, you have to put your voice high and be silly like me. She's like, fine now.
Never silly.
So no. But no, yeah, a lot of people sort of go, they're stubborn, they won't do it. I say no. But my biggest advice to people is if your dog is doing something you don't like, is to teach them what you like instead and then pay them for it. And then they'll do it, especially pugs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's that often we sit there and it's like if I sat there and went, no to you, don't, stop it. And you're like, what? And it could be, stop sitting. But you don't know because I'm just yelling at you and they're like, what? And it doesn't do anything to help them. So I always say, instead, if I got a bit of chicken and put it on your nose and, held it up, you'd go, oh, yes, stand up. So pugs are the same. And they're smart. They're very smart.
Yes, but I think cunning.
Most determined.
Of them, yes. Absolutely. I'd probably say usually my last question for our show with our pug owners is what's your pug's favorite outfit that they like to wear, be whatever it is. So I suppose my question for you is, because we definitely have two schools of thought in the pug world, collar versus harness. What's the better one to use for training?
I actually have a blog on my website about collars and harnesses. Whatever is comfortable for the dog. So I've actually, apart from scent work, my other passion is what they call proprioceptional fitness, about keeping dogs' bodies healthy. And I generally will go for a well-fitted harness, one that doesn't restrict the movement of their little front legs, because a badly fitted harness, boys, block your ears. Ladies, it's like wearing a badly fitted bra.
Yes.
If it digs under your arms, it puts you out all day. So a harness, I've got, if you go to my website, I actually do have a blog with pictures, but not one that goes across their shoulders, not one that pulls, the anti-pull ones, because they can actually do damage under here as well.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It's one that goes, sort of sits, it sort of goes around their neck but down. I'm showing you, but you can't see.
Mm-hmm. No, I get what you mean.
Yeah, and then there's a circle around the chest, sort of the stomach, the waist almost, and then there's 2 lines. So they haven't got restricted movement, and it doesn't pull if they pull on their throat. That's the best because it's comfortable for them. And training for, if your dog pulls, train them, but a harness like that is much more comfortable for them and they won't damage themselves. Some dogs don't like harnesses, and we as trainers can teach them to like harnesses, but I'll be honest, there's some dogs that I really don't like it. So for those dogs, a collar is just as good.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, if it's a collar or a harness, I would say make sure it's well fitted and it's comfortable for your dog, because you can do damage with both. My first little beagle, he was a rescue and he'd been brought up with a check chain, and he actually damaged his throat because he would throw himself against it. Didn't care. That was him.
Yeah.
And he ended up, he couldn't have any pressure on his neck whatsoever.
Oh.
So even if he went to touch it, he'd just be coughing for hours.
Oh.
So collars can really damage if they're those sort of pulling dogs. If harnesses had been around and he was wearing a harness, he would have been really comfortable. So a flat collar or a comfortable harness, and if your dog pulls, find a trainer. I'm also with the Institute of Modern Dog Trainers. We're actually around the world, so we're not big in the US, but it started in the UK. All the trainers are accredited and qualified, and they will teach you to teach your dog nicely with treats, to walk nicely on lead. So, and they're all around Australia, and there's a trainers directory there. So yeah, I like a nice well-fitted harness. My dogs wear harnesses, but they also have a flat collar on, and I've trained them not to pull. But saying that, my dogs are not trick dogs. They don't actually do 1,000,001 things. My Labrador does, because he's a little bit more of a wanter to do it. My Beagle's very pug-like. He is very pug-like. He comes when he's caught and he finds things with his nose, and that's pretty much it. And I'm happy with that because he's happy with that. He doesn't need to do any more thinking stuff. He just So every dog is different. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. That's wonderful, because it's always been a hot topic of conversation at playgroup, because people have, whether it's what they've grown up with or what they've read elsewhere, there is a very definite opinion. And I've always been for harnesses. So but I grew up with hunting dogs who only ever had collars, but they were also trained to run off lead and all that sort of stuff. So my family all thought I was nuts when I said to them that when I leave home and go out to the real world, I'm going to get a pug. And they all sort of blinked and went, "You want to get a what?" And I went, "I want a pug." And then just sort of like, and Milo Notice, my favorite pug movie ever. That was when I decided that I was going to have a pug. So but yeah, all my pugs have had harnesses for exactly. I've always worried about the sore throat.
Also, I think being helped, if there's pressure on the neck, it can change their behaviour a little. When I got a Labrador about 5th hand when I was working at the airport. He hadn't done well with other handlers, let's just say, and he pulled a lot. And these are professional people. They couldn't walk him without him pulling. He had a check chain on. He used to hold his, he was a puller. And I came and I went, I'm not using that equipment because it can twitch him. So I put a harness on him. And even I was like, this dog's strong. Am I being a bit silly? But as soon as I put a comfortable harness on him, he relaxed. It was really bizarre. It really taught me a lot because I went, wow, all that pressure on the neck and pulling, because there's that, they pull against pressure, they push against it. As soon as I put the harness on, he wasn't perfect. He's now, of course. But he suddenly went, yeah, I can walk on that. It's comfortable. And it was able, then I did a little bit of training and now he walks beautifully on his harness. But yeah, he taught me a lot about that because I wasn't sold completely on harnesses at that time.
No, that is, well, it's proof in the pudding at the end of the day. That's amazing. Look, thank you so much for joining us, Fiona. It has been enlightening as much as, and I tell you what, I definitely do want to know where we can try sniffer training out in Victoria. So
there's some lovely trainers in Victoria. I'll jump on when the live show goes on, and I'll pop some links on. I'll do a little research between now and then, and find you some good trainers who do scent work.
No, thank you so much. So for everybody who's watching, I will actually make sure that that it's on in the Facebook group as well. But you can find Fiona on thedoggylady.com.au and also at Doggy Lady on Facebook and YouTube, if I remember correctly as well. So absolutely great videos. And I loved your website. I checked it out and looked at your very intimidating list of qualifications. So
I haven't updated it either.
So yeah, definitely check out the Facebook page and have a look at all the videos. It was just, if you can't visualize sniffer training, definitely check out the Facebook page, because those videos were great for me to be able to situate how it all kind of worked, even after I'd seen photos of little Emily doing a spectacular job.
She's awesome. She's pugalicious, that one.
Yes.
She's a little bit of a favorite in the sniffer dog gang.
I'm not surprised. She is adorable. So have a wonderful rest of the day, because obviously you're a couple of hours behind me. So so you've got a good part of the day to go, and we'll catch you soon.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Fiona. Bye. Thanks, Fiona. Bye. Now, Puggies, I hope that you enjoyed watching that show as much as I loved watching it again. I was so pumped after we recorded it on Friday that I can report that I did try Fiona's at-home scent training activity, but we did it at playgroup this morning, and I think the Puggies had a good time. Well, at least I did. I know that I did. But we're going to give it a go at home sometime this week. So keep an eye out on the Facebook page for further evidence of me trying it out with Rosie and Charles. And in all likelihood, I'm probably going to have to use chicken, because I don't think anything else will entice them quite as much. I'm not sure Vegemite's going to work for these two. So Puggies, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you had as good a time as I did getting to know Fiona and the fun that is scent training. It's just incredible. We'll be hanging around after the show. I've seen Fiona posting the various sniffer schools around the state in the comments section, so please check them out. By the looks of it, I think a couple of people have already started making plans. I'm definitely going to look it up myself. Now, Puggies, if you would like to be a superstar of your very own show, we'd love to have you as a guest, and all it takes is an email or a direct message telling us that you want to be a star, and we'll do the rest. Or should I say, I'll do the rest, because that's what I'm here for, according to this little one here. Hey, hello. So Puggies, oh, sorry, Charles has just decided to slam his paw on my keyboard. So Puggies, until next time, have a pawsome week, and humans, be generous with